All righty. Thank you for listening to I Guess I'll Do It with Pat House. My guest today is my first guest from Philly, which I'm excited about, and one of the people that really, and I genuinely, truly mean this, really got me off my feet in the very, very beginning. My guest today is TuRae Gordon. So thank you for being here, dude.
Thank you, Pat. Appreciate it.
Dude, we go way back, and there's two things in particular I'm going to thank you for. But before I get into that, I really do want to say thank you, man. You gave me my first hosting weekend at the Laugh House. It was your birthday weekend, and then I remember that vividly because I was over the moon that you asked me to host for you, and then you brought me back again the following year to do it again.
Yeah, man. You were always a great coming up. You were a great comic. You had great stage presence, and one of the easiest ways for us to build and evolve as comics is hosting. So I figured I'd put you in the burner, man. Put you on a nice weekend with a bunch of different comedians and a nice crowd, and we see what it was going to do.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I hosted at the Laugh House a lot, and I really learned a lot there because, man, some of those shows were rough, and not just crowd wise, but every Saturday they had the midnight show, and people would just be asleep.
Yes,
literally,
you had South
literally
Street, you had
asleep.
the midnight show on South Street, so people spent from 8 to 11:30 walking up and down South Street getting drunk, and then they come to the Laugh House and kick it off.
Dude,
sometimes we were funny enough to keep them awake,
and sometimes I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, not just yourself. I was there too, you know what I'm saying? But I got to the point where I was good enough to be able to delegate. So I'm like, no, Pat, you're going to eat this shit tonight. I'm not doing it.
Now, so I took a comedy class, and that was through you. Yeah. That had to have been, 13, 14, 15 years ago. And I will never forget, you said two things that I still think about all the time to this very day. The first thing, I was very set up punch when I started, like, set up punch. And I had, a bunch of set up punch jokes about Temple University, and then set up punch jokes about like my parents. And you kept telling me, there are more jokes within your jokes. Keep writing on the same topic and more jokes will come out of it. And I think about that every time I write something, even like a story. There are more jokes within your jokes. So that has stuck with me this entire time. And one other thing that you said the more you perform, the more the segues find themselves. And when I do a set, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 45 minutes, I want the whole thing to be smooth. And what you said is so true. I love segues and making the whole entire set seamless.
Yes. Dude. Well, it's got to be for guys like us, Pat, because this is how we perform, conversational.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't be jumping around all scatterbrained. That's not our style. Now, if that's your style, that's, but we're conversational and normal in nature. So when we perform, it kind of has to be that way for us as the type of comedians we are. And then going back to your first point, that's what the vets told me, man. They was like, if you start that way, you'll never have to worry about not being original. You'll never have to worry about, this guy took my bit. Because if you're writing from within your own stuff, how are you ever stumbling onto someone else's, So, and then the adage of wring it till it's dry. Like, I literally have a joke where it gets less and less tasteful. And then when it gets to the last rung, I literally go, okay, that's enough. That's it. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny. It's funny. Every one of them is funny, but it's like, all right. I'm not going to be this distasteful anymore with it. But it was there to be pulled out of the joke. So,
that's so great.
Man, you got to write from where you are, because that's how you can get to anywhere you want to go. And like you said, those segues make it seem like it's seamless, because that's what everybody says to guys like, oh man, you guys are so cool and calm on stage. We a nervous wreck in our head, but the way we put these sets together, it make it seem like it's smooth. So that's just something I learned from watching the greats, man. They always seem to know where they were going.
This hasn't happened too often. It's happened every now and then. It's a very infrequent compliment, but I've been told several times by people after a show, like, your segues are awesome and your set is so smooth. And I find that way cooler than being told, hey man, you were funny or good set. It's like, holy shit, they see the bigger picture. They thought I was
Yeah.
funny, but they actually noticed that I went from topic A to Z and they didn't even know the rest of the alphabet was there. Like,
Yeah, I'm a we the only well when I came up, there were few and far stage opportunities, so it was like you had to be good to get another opportunity. And how you gonna be good in 5 minutes all the time? So I concentrated on making my sets effective, like different from what you've seen. And that stood out, especially in urban comedy, where it was like, yeah, put the music on. And it was like, wait a minute, one of these guys is polished. And I
yes.
always wanted that to be the case when you viewed me as a performer or as a professional, which is what we are.
Absolutely. So I want to get back. Okay, I'm going to tag on to what you just said there. You said when you started, stage time was few and far between. So let's get back to the beginning here. When did you start?
Started at Temple University in 1991.
1991. All right, you and I both.
You ain't have to say shit like that, man. Like,
Well,
you
dude,
said it like that's not on the like you can't even find that day like
no, no.
1991.
No, I actually, so even though, we're buddies and I've known you for 15 plus years, I still do research when I have my guest on. And I was on
Yes.
YouTube today and saw a clip of you from the Laugh House from 1995.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did you really work at the McDonald's at Broad and Diamond?
No, I had my first birthday party at the McDonald's at Broad and Diamond. I worked at Popeyes at Broad and Champlain.
Oh, okay. Because you had a
But
bit about McDonald's.
I grew up in that neighborhood, like Broad and Diamond. The McDonald's at Broad and Diamond used to be called Club McDonald's because when you went to Temple, it was one of the only McDonald's that stayed open 24 hours. So like after 2, it would become a nightclub. Like it was in the middle of Temple University,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they
I
had
lived
a
across the street.
drive-through. Right, exactly, right. So it would be nuts, and that was the Broad and Diamond McDonald's. There's a McDonald's at Broad and Allegheny, and I had my first birthday party there. And then for fast food, once I became, legal age to work, I worked at Popeyes, Rallies, and all of that. But the Broad and Diamond McDonald's is the Club McDonald's from Temple University.
Club McDonald's. I never heard that part of it. That's awesome. I've walked through that drive-through many times. They wouldn't stop us. There'd be like cars, 30 college kids, then more cars, and then they didn't care. They just let us do it.
Right, because they look, it's not open, but the drive-through open. So you want to walk through this drive-through.
Where was your very, very first set? Do you remember your very first time on stage trying it?
Yeah, first time I ever got on stage was at the Student Activity Center at Temple University. It was an open mic night, and the girl. It's funny because I just spoke to the young lady on Facebook. She's a reverend now. She's a pastor in North Carolina, and what it was I was just one of those kids around campus who was, I guess I would say, defensively courageous with my tongue, meaning I was always known as the guy you don't want to say the wrong thing around.
Okay.
But it was more of a, I don't know anybody here and I'm not going to let anybody pick on me type of personality. So I was, quick-witted and sharp-tongued. And this girl came up to me and she was like, I'm going to have an open mic night. You should come perform. And I'm looking at her like she had 3 heads. I'm like, what do you mean, perform what? She like, you comedy. And I'm like, I'm not no comedian. And I could, it's just, I always tell this story the same way because it's a way, and I'm sure you know this, there's a way women look at you when they say something to you. and it's the truth. Like I don't know where you at. When women say something to you, like, I don't know if you believe it, but this is what it is. And she said to me, she looked me dead in my face. She's like, you funny as shit. And I was like, all right, well, can my friends come? That was my response. Like, she like, yeah, do they have student activity stickers? I was like, yeah, we'd be there. And my first time I go on stage and I just talk about my 3 weeks of college at this point, because I was a freshman. And that's what I had done at this point. I had done 3 weeks of college and talked crap around campus. And at the end of the night, they gave me $50. And
Holy
it was like,
shit.
Exactly.
Dude,
exactly.
You're an anomaly. First of all, 2 things there. 1, you were told you were a comic before you were. And secondly, who the fuck gets paid their first set?
right? It was like an offering. Everybody got paid. Even a band, they had a banjo player. It was some, whatever. But everybody got a check, and it was like, to me, it was like, what? Like, you get money for this? And that was the beginning.
That's crazy. I didn't get paid. And it was $40 for a guest set at a firehouse in Hamilton, New Jersey. But I've been doing it like a year,
Yeah.
and I got paid, and the guy gave me $40. And I go, "What's this for?" And he goes, "For tonight." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You performed." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You, same thing as you." I was like, "You get money for this?"
Dude, let me tell you, we're even past that. Even when I had been doing it, I probably maybe 7, 8, 10 years in at this point, going up to the Boston Comedy Club
Oh
in New
yeah,
York.
New York City. Yeah.
Uh, right. On Sunday night, Talent and Will Sylvent used to have like a showcase night. Urban, whatever, and you could go, get up. And because of them guys coming through the Laugh House, that's how I started building my relationships of going to these guys that were coming from New York and DC and going to their room. So I go up on the Sunday, and that's when I finally felt like I had done something, because I was at the pizza shop after I did my little set, and I was at the pizza shop afterwards. And some guys, some real New York cats came up to me with that heavy accent. They like, "Yo, son, yo, yo, word is born, son, you funny." I was like, and that was like the everything to me, because I had never had no New York cats tell me I was funny. It was always Philly. It was always hometown love. And it was always the comedians. I never at previous to this point had a person say, "Yo, you was the thing tonight." So I'm standing there eating my pizza smiling, and Will Sylvent walks up to me. Now, I done the Boston, but this is my 5th time doing the Boston. Will walks up to me. He goes, "Hey, TuRae, you get your money?" And I'm like, "Money?" He like, "Yeah, you get paid." I had never, and I didn't go get my money that night. I had never,
Holy.
ever like stopped and walked by the guy or said, "Hey, do we?" I just did my spot and left, because I thought that was what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would think the exact same thing, but
Yeah.
you went up to New York to do shows. I was well aware that for the first 6 months, I was strictly doing open mics. I knew there was zero money involved.
Right, right.
Was the
So,
Laugh House around in '91?
no. Okay, so here's how the Laugh House got started.
All right.
I'm doing comedy, and I do that show at Temple, and then like 3 months later, they have another show at Temple, and it's a more organized. It's the Delta Theta, whatever, one of those Star Search, and they actually have categories and an organized show and a host and all of this. And they asked me to compete in the comedy category. Now it was funny, because everything comes full circle. But there was already this campus funny guy named Terry Manigo. And once they found out that there was going to be some competition for Terry, it was like, "Oh, well, you know how you going to be funnier than Terry?" And Bob, and I didn't know the guy. Because I didn't stay on campus. I'm from Philly, so I commuted. I didn't stay on campus. So this was a campus guy that had that following, and I didn't know. So I go and I do my thing, and I win. And Terry wasn't too enthused. He was a little upset with me, but I didn't care because I won.
Yes.
And the band, they had a band there, and there was a guy from the band. His name is Stacy McGee. He's a drummer. And he said, "Hey, man, my cousin runs this little comedy night in South Philly. I'm going to give you a call. You should come through." Now, I'm still living at home with my parents. And when he said give you a call, this is before cell phones. Well, cell phones was out, but everybody didn't have them like they did now.
Yeah,
So
he's calling a landline at your parents' house.
exactly. And I thought I was big time. I had my own number in my mama's house. So so he called. It's about a year later. This guy calls and it's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Vaguely, yeah, whatever, you know." So he's like, the show's going down Monday night, down South Philly. Come down, blah blah blah. So I go down and I perform, and there's like the it's like a talent. It's like a comedy showcase, but $100 prize. It's like the Apollo. So it's
Okay.
$100 prize at the end of the night, and they let the crowd decide. So I go down, and the dude charges me, and I never liked that. Like, if I'm performing, how you gonna charge me? And he was like, "Well, we charge you so that we can make the money to give to the winner at the end of the night." And it was $5. It wasn't nothing big. But I was like, I was just so pissed that he said
Yeah.
that to me, that I had to pay to get into somewhere to perform. I
Paying for
said, you
stage
just gonna be
time.
giving me
Yeah.
right. Like this is not like you're not giving. This is not a showcase. It's open mic. So I was like, all right, you just gonna be giving me $95 at the end of the night. And he, not only did he end up giving me $95, he made me the host for the week. He made me that host of that night. His name was Mo Hampton. He's still in the Philadelphia Police Department. He's a captain now. He was a sergeant at the time, but that it was his show, and he ran and he gave me my first hosting job. So I'm hosting, and here's where I would meet the dude that would change my life. That's where I met D. That's where I met D Lee. And D Lee is the city guy, right? He's the hot comedian in the city at the time. He's opening for Patti LaBelle. He's working at the clubs. He's doing all of that. But D's also very smart as far as the business. So he's throwing his own shows. And at this time, it's 93. There's no real shows going on. It's nothing that we not putting on. There used to be a comedy stop at the Holiday Inn at 4th and Arch. That had kind of faded. Even the Laugh House, previous to the Laugh House, it was a Catch a Rising Star. Previous to that, it was a David Brenner's Catch a Rising Star. So
Yes.
what
Yep.
was happening? Right. This was the turn of urban comedy from mainstream. So basically what was happening was the white comedians were fading and these black nights were popping up without having to be working in a club. So D was doing those nights, and he actually Patti LaBelle had a nightclub for about 3 years behind the Laugh House in that little area called Abbott Square. It used to be a Pizzeria Uno back there, all of that, right at the end of the South Street.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Patti LaBelle, Newmarket Square, that was the name it's called, Newmarket Square. Patti LaBelle had a club in there for a little bit, and D was the host there, and we were doing our nights there, and everything. Things were good. We were doing it the best we could. When I was younger, much younger, man, Pat, I used to play basketball a lot. I used to play basketball for fun. I used to be the dude that would put his basketball in his book bag and jump on the bus and ride around the city looking for games. And friends of mine was telling me about these great runs they would have at the sporting club atop the Bellevue. Like, yo, they got it's some ritzy stuff, but the runs be good. I'm like, oh, all right, let me get up in there. You got to get a guest pass and go up in there. So I got a guest pass, and I'm in there one day. And I'm telling you, like, I was playing. It was like Mo Cheeks was in there, and guys is great, go to the NBA. Like, it was good run. So I'm playing, and I remember this good-looking white guy, and I'm giving him the business, but he's playing, and I'm talking so much shit to him. He's like he can't even play because he's laughing so much. So between games, we sitting against the wall talking, and he said, "Hey man, you just so funny." I said, "I'm doing comedy. I've started doing comedy." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, because I'm in school. I was at Temple." I said, "I'm in school, but I just recently started doing comedy." He said, "Man, that's crazy. I own a comedy club." This is Eric Blumenfeld, the guy that owns the block. Not just the Laugh House, not just Catch a Rising Star, not just he owns from Hats in the Belfry to PNC Bank to the condo he owns the block. He's the reason that Live Nation owns the Met. That's who I'm talking
Oh,
to.
no
Exactly.
shit.
So I introduced basically Eric Bloomfeld and his drinking buddy Billy Negron, who used to own Eyeglass Encounters all over the city back in the day, had for fun bought a comedy club. It was called Catch a Rising Star. First
Just
it was
for
called
fun,
David
like
Burns
comedy
Catch a
club, just for
Rising.
fun.
Right, just for fun. They just, so they owned the comedy club, but at the time, like I said, the business was changing. Eric wasn't really wanting to be involved or bother with running a comedy club like that. And I'm not saying I knew this from a conversation. I'm saying he invited me into the club, and when I saw how it was being run, I connected him to D because D had the cachet, and that by this time D was now on the morning show on Power 99, and next thing I know, D and Eric struck up a deal, and Catch a Rising Star became the Laugh House.
No kidding.
Yeah. See, that's why I act like I do, Pat, and I talk the shit like I do when it comes to the Laugh House because I'm the one that was there.
Dude, that's truly fascinating to me because I love.
And it's strictly by chance meeting. Like if Eric wasn't in the gym that day, who knows? You know what I'm saying?
Dude, the planets were aligned, lightning struck, something happened.
Yep.
So no, I love that shit because I love, I don't know, the inside I hate to use the word nerdy, but like the inside comedy shit.
Yeah,
And I started
yeah,
at the Laugh House. So for the first 2 years of my career, the Laugh House was all I knew. So it's
right.
cool to know. I mean, I've known a lot of shit about the club over the years, but I did not know that story at all until right now. That's why I
Yeah,
love having these conversations.
yeah,
Um,
man.
were you I'm not doing stand up yet. Sophomore year at Temple just started. I'm not doing stand up yet, but it's on my mind 24/7 because I just saw Mitch Hedberg open for Dave Attell
Oh,
at the Tower, and my mind was
wow.
fucking blown.
See,
Um,
you ate a big meal, man. Like that to see those two dudes.
yeah,
If I'd have seen those two dudes, I might not have thought I could do it.
uh,
Because I mean, it's still some of Mitch's jokes. I'm sitting here like, damn.
yeah. So shortly after I saw that show at the Tower, there was a
Uh,
show, and I remember the name. It was called Comedy Explosion on Temple's campus,
yes.
and I think you were on it.
Yep.
Okay, so it was you, Jay Okerson, JB
Hmm.
Smoove, Michael Blackson,
Hmm.
and Kevin Hart.
Yes.
All right, so so I had just seen Attell and Mitch Hedberg, and now I saw you guys perform on campus, and I was like, all right, I'm trying this no matter what. I meet Big J for the first time that exact night, and I
Yes.
go, hey man, I really want to try comedy. You said you're from Philly. Where should I go? He told me to go to the Laugh House to introduce myself to the WID, and I did a week later. That's how quickly
Yes.
those two seeing those shows so closely, and then talking to Jay, dude, done and done. I started
Yeah.
a week later and I have not stopped since.
That's fantastic, man. And I'm so proud of you and Jay and Joe and Mike V and all. And, you know, I hate to put color on it, but it's a lot of guys that came through the Laugh House. And because it was quote unquote a black club, they don't even realize y'all came through there. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, yo, they started there. Like they
Yeah.
started at the Laugh House. So I'm proud of you guys that you understood what it was. And it was just about a stage and working to get your craft better and then taking it to the world. So that's
Oh,
what the greatest thing about the Laugh House was that you could walk in from the pavement and pursue your dreams. You can't do that everywhere. Every club don't give you that opportunity,
no.
you know? So
That's very true. And then I forget when I met you, but I know I met you at the Laugh House a couple times, and this story is going to sound insane, and this is something I would never do now, and I can't believe I did this. Like I was thought about this earlier, and I was cringing at myself. Um, you headlined a show. I'd been doing comedy maybe a year. I'm still very new. Let's say
uh,
6 months to a year. You headlined a show on Temple's campus, and you brought Anton Schuford as your
yeah,
opener. And
yeah.
I think you guys were running just a few minutes late. There was a guy on stage making announcements and saying, hey, show's going to start in 10 minutes. And I raised my hand and said, I do comedy. Can I do some time? And they let me. And it didn't go bad.
That's good, yo.
But
That's what's up.
see, I was so new and naive that I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking comic. I'll do a show. Now, 15 years in, there's no way I would volunteer to do that. And I
Yeah,
am seasoned.
yeah, but you know what, Pat? That's part of the balls it takes, though. Sometimes that's why I kind of gravitate towards young comedians because they got the ball. They be like, yo, I just want to get on. And
Exactly.
sometimes that's all it takes is you to open your mouth. Sometimes it's like, hey, man, I can do that, and they'll give you a shot. And it's about what you do with the opportunity. But I know I've been in a position where Paul Mooney was at the Laugh House one night, and the way I was raised in comedy that the headliner, whatever the headliner say, go, and they were
Yeah.
cutting guest spots, so it was like ain't nobody else going on, and I'm like, I was just they cut me, I was supposed to go on next, and I'm like, I want to go on, and I said, so of course there's two people were saying to me, you can't, and I said, well, can I speak to Paul Mooney? And because, it's the Laugh Out, they kind of had to let me go to the green room and talk to him. So I said, Mr. Moon, I don't mean no disrespect, but I'm funnier than everybody that's been on that stage tonight. I just want an opportunity. And he looked at me and said, don't make me yank you off that stage. Come off stage when they put the light on, you understand? And I said, no problem. And I went and did my time, but that's how I was raised. Like, you got to open your
Wow.
mouth. Say something.
Absolutely. You know what? Shit isn't going to get handed to you. Ask.
No,
And
not in
then you,
comedy because here's the thing. We already got that dude. That dude is sitting in the back in the green room. In comedy, that's how it goes. Like, yeah, well, I do. Yeah, we already got 5 comics.
Dude, that's I'm so glad you said that, because I've told like younger comics when they ask for advice, I say, don't be afraid to ask. You're going to be told no, and that sucks, but that's
Yep.
part of the business, and it happens. I remember I was opening for shit. I was opening for Tom Segura, and I had never been to Phoenix before, but I heard it was cool, and I saw Phoenix was on his calendar, and then I was like, "Hey man, can I do Phoenix with you?" And he's like, "Yeah," and it was as simple as that. And next thing you know,
dude,
I'm doing Phoenix.
Dude, it's just like that. Like, I've been on the road with some more for 15 years, almost. I would say almost closer to 15 years, but over 10 years now. And it all started with me. I was performing at the Atlantic City Comedy Festival, and I'm normally just the type of person. I don't bother people. If I know you, I'll speak and keep it moving. But I'm not the type of person to be in your green room, be all in your space. So
Dude, I'm the
normally,
exact same way. I'm the exact same way. So I will give you the credit that you taught me that.
Right, because it's like sometimes give people their space, but also I come out I don't want to be in my green room all closed off. So I'm normally watching the show after I perform. And I'm standing there and Samore's manager walks up to me and he was like, "Hey, you're pretty funny, man." I said, "Thanks a lot." He said, "You ever thought about being on the road with Samore?" I said, "Yeah." He looked at me to my win. I said, "Just now." And 10 years later, you know what I'm saying? So if you don't put yourself in position, Clint Coley, who is from Philly,
Yeah.
I always give opportunity that I have. And, there are times I can say, I can make a phone call. There's times I can put a contract in your hand. And there's sometimes the only opportunity I have for you is maybe if you carry my bags, I can get you some stage time. So Clint I do the Atlantic City Comedy Festival every year. So one year Clint comes with me and he carries my bags and literally goes out on stage and introduces me as the host. And that's it. But in the time that he's backstage, he builds conversation with DL Hughley. Just like you, DL Hughley's in New York a week later. Clint says, "Do you mind if I come through?" DL says, "Yeah." Clint's been on the road with DL for the last 5 years.
Dude, it's amazing how quickly that shit happens too. It's amazing. Yes. I've been lucky enough to where Tom Segura, Sebastian Maniscalco, and most recently Dan Cummins has been very, very good to me. And I've been along the ride with Sebastian and Segura when they were in clubs to doing small theaters. And then I've done theaters with both Sebastian and Segura where there's 5,000 people in the crowd. And I used to do clubs with them. It's so fucking cool to see from the side and be along for the ride right there with it.
Definitely, dude. Definitely.
So
for us, it's just about building. Like the greatest thing is to be along for this great ride, and you're building your own stuff at the same time.
Absolutely. So, okay. So your very first set, you're told you're a comic, you perform on campus. Did that set go well?
Looking at it from now, it was crack.
Of course, because nobody's good out the gate.
I talked about being a freshman in college, and I talked about my friend Casey in the front row, but that, no, it was crack. But they liked it, as I say. There's times I come in and my lady will be like, "How's the show?" And I'll be like, "They liked it." I didn't, but I know. Yeah, but they liked it. So yeah, it was what intrigued me was the energy of being on stage and the money. Not to say it was a bunch of money or that now in my head I saw dollar sign. Just the fact that they gave me money for that. It was like, you get paid for this?
I know, and that's incredible for your very first time. So honestly, probably my first 10 or 12 times on stage, period, were at the Laugh House. So I'm only performing every single Wednesday. And for some reason, Wid puts me on every Wednesday, which is awesome.
Wid was the man. Shout out to Wid. He was a great dude.
I saw him 2 weeks ago. He's the best. I got to get him on this podcast too, because he is such a character. I can't even fathom.
Stories, man.
Dude, not only his stories, I can't even imagine what his first set was like. Did he have props then? Like his story's got to be so insane. But so,
do you know what his name? I'm sure you know what his name stands for, right?
Without ID, right?
Without ID.
Yeah. So for the first 3 months, I'm only doing the Laugh House. Surprisingly, my first 2 sets go very well. And then the next
Mhm.
6, I just fucking bomb so bad, Wednesday after Wednesday after Wednesday. But the first 2 went well. But after like 2 months in, I'm watching people, I'm learning, and then I learned how to fix stuff. And then getting out of that hole of bombing felt so good. Like, okay,
Yes.
there's a lot to learn. I know I'm still new. Bombing is out there, but now I know how to tweak some things. Okay, this joke has never worked. It's done. This is funny.
Right.
I think it's funny. Why isn't this working? This is doing really
Right.
well. Should I open with this? It's so funny when
Right.
you look back at your first sets. And now, if I were to hear the material I did then, I would cringe in horror. But
Uh-huh.
it's what got me through my first year, you know?
I was listening. I was watching. I had somebody sent me an old video, and I was just watching it. And I was just looking at myself, and I'm like, wow, I was so arrogant. Like to me, I'm looking at myself like, who are you talking to? Like, who are you? Who is this kid with all this arrogance? And that's what it looks like to me at this point. But now it seems like, I guess what it seems like is now when I'm on stage, I am living what I was talking about. You know,
Yeah.
previous it was what I thought. You know, when I was younger, it was what I thought about certain things. Now it's how I feel. It's like, no, I'm 47. I have children. I have a wife. I have, there's a different lifestyle and different things to talk about. Whereas when I was 19, it was, hey man, what's up with everything was did you see that? It was like a whole bunch of commentary, and it was like it was
Dude,
almost easy because all you was doing was talking.
well, that's incredible because you get better as you evolve as a comic. And like I said earlier, talking to you here, I was very set up punch, and I think you kind of helped me snap out of that because I started talking more about personal stuff. And now
Yes.
I don't say a single thing on stage that isn't true. Like I don't
Man, that joke about
every
your
now and then.
grandfather,
Yeah,
when you be like, yo, you just had enough. He's like, well, that's enough. Turn
yeah,
his head for.
yeah. Oh, uh, every now and then, like the occasional silly joke is there on purpose because it's goofy
Yes.
and silly and fits somewhere. But now, like everyday life, man, like I had an embarrassing story happen at Lens Crafters, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh, this sucks. This is embarrassing. I'm kind of mortified, and I'm like, my face is turning red. But a week later, it's crushing on stage, and it's
Yes.
just everyday life.
Yes, because all right, people can relate to everything. One of the reasons I've always been able to work all crowds is because I don't walk into the crowd like we do this, y'all do that. First of all, what do we both do? Yeah, I'm black, he white, he Asian, but we all got lady troubles at certain times. We all got kids that get on our nerves. We all done went and had an overdraft on our account before. There are things that we
Absolutely.
live in commonality that to me, I think are easier to talk about than the things we do separately. Everybody knows the things we do separately. And quite honestly, those are supposed to be the things you keep to yourself anyway.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But the commonality of us is what makes, when you look around an audience in a comedy club, that's what life should be. Like everybody be in comedy club. Every nationality be at the comedy club. And it's like, that's what it is. Like we all in here laughing and enjoying it and thinking, and that's really what it should be. But the easier part of having the experience of life, it makes it so much easier for you to draw attention, even when you have your opinion on someone's opinion.
Oh,
Because now you can go, did you see what that guy said? And there's 70 people that go, hell yeah, I saw that. I ain't like it either. And now, you go with that. So yeah, man, it's a great thing to be able to bring yourself on stage to stand there and be true. Because I've seen comedians go on stage like, yeah, I smoke weed, and I'm like, you don't even smoke. Like, why? Like, why? And then why? Like, to me, it's like, what is that? A badge of honor? If you don't smoke, that's a good thing too. Like, say that. Like, but they don't. They'll go after the comedians will go. I always like jokingly, I'll say, you can always tell when there's too many women in the crowd because the material go out the way, and the first folk joke, you know how you pussy, lady. It's like, damn, like, why did you ask her for her number, homie? Like, it's so much easier to just be true. That's what I found.
It
So
is. It's easier, and for me as an audience member, it's just more fun. I mean, I appreciate great jokes. Like as I mentioned, Mitch Hedberg. I love Stephen Wright. when I was Stephen Wright is like the king of one-liners back in the well, still is around, but in the 80s,
Yeah.
and I loved it. Like some people are afraid of heights, not me. I'm afraid of widths. He has incredible jokes.
Right.
That's not for me, but as an audience member, I love seeing like what's real. And I was hosting for Patrice O'Neill at the Stress Factory.
Oh,
I know,
God.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
hosting for Patrice, and watching him get to the stage took some time because that is a tight room. But he got heckled by somebody, and he just screamed, "I'm talking about what's real," and that fucking
Good.
stuck with me too. Like he was just talking about. I forget what the bit was. That's so far out the window. But somebody didn't like it. They said something, and Patrice is like, "I'm just talking about what's real," and I was like, "Fuck, that's awesome."
Yeah, he was such a great. Well, first of all, he was my friend, but he was such a great comedian because of his truth. Like, all right, my mom. I just put it to you like this: my mom and dad. My dad came into my life when I was 8 years old, so my mom and dad been together since I was 8, whatever. They get married, and my parents normally when I do TV, my parents come with me because Pat, I got to the point where it's like, what if I don't get the Oscar? Like I'm saying, like, I don't want to save these opportunities. Like, I'm going to take my mom on the red carpet, or I'm going to take my wife on the red carpet. Well, in the meantime, I'm doing all these great things. They should be a part of it. So my lady comes now, but my parents always come to TV tapings. So we're at Def Jam 2008. And I'm taping with Patrice. That was a great year because I'm taping with Patrice and Rashid. And here's the thing, as bodacious and strong and confident as Patrice was, I saw Patrice for a second backstage at Def Jam. He was like, I don't know if they're going to feel me, meaning, is this black crowd going to understand Patrice O'Neill? And I said, P, you funny, man. Like, this is Def Jam. It ain't about color here. This is about who funny. You here because you funny. But I understood where he was coming from. He smashed. He had a great set. He did his thing. But for that one moment, my big brother was so human because I had never seen him worried about if they don't like it, so what? But this was different. So anyway, my parents walk up, and my mom is 6 feet tall. My dad is 5'10". And Patrice, I say Patrice, these are my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Burns. Patrice go, I know that ain't your dad. Like, that's first thing. And my mom is strong black woman. Don't let nobody talk. She bust out laughing because she knew it was how he was. Like, that was just Patrice. You couldn't be mad at him. Like, that was Patrice. Like, and he wasn't lying. Like, that's my dad. Yeah, but it ain't my dad. Like, so that was Patrice. And I didn't really realize how large his celebrity was until he got sick, and it was you can't come up to the hospital, and they were worried about people taking pictures. And then when it came on, when him being hospitalized was on TMZ, that's when I realized how huge of a, because previous he was just my friend.
Yeah.
I didn't see him like that. It was like, he's my friend. And but anyway, yeah, I miss Patrice so much because of that realness, and because, as I told his mother, when he was around, I knew nobody would fuck with me. I felt safe when Patrice was around.
Oh man, that's cool. And that's cool. You got to see him be vulnerable for a moment there.
Yeah, that was my guy, man. He was a good dude.
Did you guys hang out a lot, or did you just cross paths on the road like we tend to do?
No, I wasn't actually. I didn't work with him a lot, simply because as he said, I don't feel like working every night. You can go open for somebody else. But Patrice invited me. I was at his home a lot. I spent about 3 Thanksgivings and 4 4th of Julys. Like, yeah, he had, what Patrice did was what I'd like to do sometimes. He made Thanksgiving for all those cats in New York that maybe they can't get home. So Thanksgiving at Patrice's house was like Jim Norton, Florentine, Keith Robinson, me, Will. It was great, man. I seen Will Sylvance give up on a word, man. Like, it was hilarious. Like, we was at, I think he was trying to say like circumspect or something like that. And he was like, Never. He just sat down. Like Florentine was like, "Will, did you just give up on a word?" Like it was. These are the type of times we would have at Patrice's, and then the barbecues. I mean, it's 4th of July barbecues. Like there's one of them. Somebody captured on YouTube. The shit talking that would go on at these cookouts, and just the camaraderie. I remember one barbecue. Hannibal pulled up in a cab, because we were outside, so we could see when he pulled up. And somebody, I think Dean Edwards yelled out like, "Hannibal just got out of a bad cab," because it was a raggedy cab. It was like, "Are you sure that's a cab, Hannibal?" But it was like these are the type of people that would come to Patrice because of how he felt energy wise, and he was friends with all of us, and I miss him dearly because he was the guy that when you got there you could sit the bullshit to the side. Like when you got to his house, you couldn't come in there with that Hollywood, "Oh, my agent said," or he'd be like, "If you don't get the fuck out of here with that," Patrice would tell you about yourself and make you feel comfortable at the same time.
Oh, that's all. I love hearing stuff like that too. His loss really hurt a lot because he was like right after Greg Giraldo, who was one of my favorite comics. So that was like two bang bangs in a row that just really took a lot out of comedy.
Here's the crazy you just mentioned. Like, yo, all right, so I go to Montreal in 2008, and I'm a 30-year-old new face, 30-plus-year-old new face, and I know everybody already except these younger comedians that I'm in new faces with. And so we go out. I take them all like, let's go to lunch. So we all go out like new faces, and my new faces like Mo Mandel, Elijah Schlesinger, Vanessa Fraction. I had some hitters in my new faces. So we
Yeah.
go out, we hanging. It was a nice camaraderie. And we hanging out, we're all eating together. And Patrice comes over and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Patrice O'Neal." And I'm looking like, "Oh, here we go with the bullshit." Cause I knew what it was going to be. So I'm like, "Yo, what's up, P?" He like, "You out here eating with you so like he just giving me the shit. Like you in here with your old new face. Just giving me shit." I'm sitting there just taking it, right? So at the end, he goes in his pocket and throws like four $50 bills on the table. He's like, "Hey man, y'all pay for y'all. Go ahead and get yourself something to eat. Stop hanging out with this dude. He broke." I was like, I just was sitting there like, wow. And they were all like, "Oh my gosh, Patrice." I was sitting there like, "You motherfucker." Like, but that was Patrice. Like at the end of it, he did pay for all of our meal. So that was Patrice, man. Like that was how he was. So I say that to say full circle because who hosted my New Faces showcase but Greg Giraldo?
No shit.
Yeah, man. That year, yeah.
So I mentioned a couple of comics that were good to me, and you have definitely been one of them, especially in the early days of the Laugh House. What other comics were good to you when you were coming up? Because you started comedy like after the big boom, essentially. So I'm sure the early '90s weren't the best time for stand up in general. But I mean,
Yeah.
and you said there really wasn't too much stage time in the city of Philly to be had at the time. So,
Right.
like, what comics were good to you, and where were you getting up the most? Like as you were coming up in the early '90s.
Specifically comics that were good to me were D Lee, my mentor.
I know that name. I don't know if
Talent.
I met him.
Because D was more. I would say once he got the ownership of the Laugh House, he kind of slowed down on the microphone. Like he fully and he enjoyed being an owner. Let's just put it like that.
Understood.
But he taught me so much about comedy. He taught me how to stand on stage. Like why are you standing this way? You're tall. Stand this way. So he would like little things like that. He taught me. Pretty much, I call myself I'm his Frankenstein's monster. Like I'm the monster that he created. Like hosting was what he gave me first. He would say, when we were promoting our own shows, and I'd be sitting there trying to book the show, and I'm like, "I'm gonna get the host," and he'd be looking at me like, "You stupid, you host the show."
Yeah, you host
He
it.
said, "Number one, you make the budget come down. Number two, you get better." So I, learned a lot. Talent out of New York was. I can call Talent right now and be like, "Yo, I need to work this weekend," and he'll put me on something. Like
Dude,
that's just him. Like he's just always been that guy to put you on.
I haven't seen him in a long time, but he did me a solid a couple years ago because he used to have that Sunday show at the Stress Factory, and he threw me on there a couple times.
Yeah, he's just. And money in your pocket. Like and sometimes you need that. Like I know that there have been times where I'm like, yo, T, I need to work. And he'll call me back with this, and this. And, I'll be able to feed my family for the week or whatever, at that time it was. But it it was definitely something that he doesn't always have to do, but he does. So he looks out some more. I tell people, she's changed my tax bracket. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So just keeping me working like that. So specifically those three. But Pat, I really want to say this. Comedy's been good to me, man. I don't have those stories. I don't have those, oh, I remember I went through it with this person or that person, because you only got to do something to me once. And then I'm good. Like I'm not the dude to keep repeatedly getting, shit on or done wrong.
Yeah.
And in this game, it's quick to learn your business first, and then learn what you have to deal with and what you don't have to deal with. So I got that very quickly. But comedy's been good to me, man. Like every dude has always taken a moment. Dom Herrera, Dom, when he would work the Laugh House, used to say, I want TuRae to host. He didn't have to
That's,
say that.
you know what? I swear to
He
God.
would say that. Like he not only would he say that, he would let me come up and do WIP 610 with him. And I'm not an Eagles fan, Pat.
Yeah, Niners.
Right. But he would take me with him. Like you don't have to do like he wouldn't have to. First of all, Dom Herrera does not need to do press for Philadelphia appearance.
No.
But for him to come in Thanksgiving weekend, take me with him on press, like that was real. Like so guys did, looked out, man. Chris Thomas, the mayor out of DC, would always give me a tidbit. Hey, I heard that joke you did like this. If you did it like that, it'd be, David Arnold, Bill Bellamy. So many comedians have just taken a moment with me. Wid used to be the one to calm me down at the Laugh House because he probably knew where I was going or where I was coming from. Like when I was frustrated, Wid would go, I know. Those guys don't
Yep.
get it. Those guys don't get you. But
Dude, Wade has had the exact same conversations with me. You're totally right with the way he's like, no, I get it, dude. He did the exact same thing to me.
Yep.
It's so funny you mentioned Dom because I forgot about this. I started doing comedy in October of 04, and you hosted for Dom Thanksgiving weekend of 04 because I was there for two of the shows. I went on a date with a girl, and we saw you on Friday, and then I went back alone on Saturday to watch by myself.
Yeah, because you couldn't really watch.
And I remember laughing my ass off at you and Dom. And then shortly after that, okay, so Dom went to grade school and high school with my mom's oldest brother. So I knew about him, but I just didn't know him. So he was such a little fanboy. I had him sign my Laugh House ticket stub that weekend.
Right.
And anyway, long story short, a few years after that, we got to know each other, and Dom has been very good to me. He would use me at Helium Thanksgiving every year, and he brought me to the Helium in Buffalo. He brought me to Raleigh, the Stress Factory a couple times. He's somebody that really did a solid for me a couple years in.
Yeah, man. It's if you're normally you get out of this game what you put in, So if you're putting in positivity, if you're respectful, if you don't take advantage of people or try to get, normally that comes back the same way, There are exceptions because there's exceptions to the people that you're going to be dealing with. But most times, man, I've had great experiences being a comedian and working with comedians.
It's the best. It's like our own secret society. Like sometimes
and I truly believe that.
Oh, it is because
I'm the only child. Like comedians are my family. Like
me
you guys are my family.
Me too.
So, yep.
It's sometimes you're just so much more comfortable around comedians. Like nothing, we could say the most horrific, offensive shit, and it doesn't phase us. Nothing's off the table, but we're all just comfortable in that zone.
Oh man, like check it. Are you Pat? You got a lady now? You dating? What's the situation?
Yeah. I've had a girlfriend for
you got a girlfriend now. Okay, like you said it like you had to prove it. Like no, I had a girlfriend for years. No, I'm just saying like
no, she's
so
right.
I know, right. I swear to God. Look, like so that first couple times when you took her and she's looking at you 3 hours later, like, are y'all just gonna sit here and talk? And you like,
yeah, we're nowhere near done.
All night? Like, but you done the show, you finished. Why are we still here? Cause I'm talking.
Cause we're not finished.
Because we're not finished. Like literally one night in front of the cellar one night when I was working at the cellar in New York, me, Patrice, Joe DeRosa, and I think Will was out there. And we were talking, and at one point, Will said, "Is the fucking sun coming up?" I said, "It's time to go." Like, we literally stood out front of the cellar and just talked.
But that probably only felt like 20 minutes. I'm sure it was 6 hours.
It didn't feel like long enough. It
Dude,
felt like, shoot, we
we
should be talking some more.
we've been chatting for almost an hour here, and it feels like
Right.
it's been 5 minutes because we're talking about
Yes.
something we're so passionate about, and then
Yes.
you say one thing, and I can tag it on, and then I say something, and then you have a story, and that's the fucking best.
Yes.
I
That's
mean,
us.
no offense to non-comics, but you're just not nearly as fun.
No offense to civilians, but y'all just don't understand.
Oh man! And do you enjoy helping comics with their material? Like, was it your idea to do that comedy class?
All right. So the comedy class started. It was funny because one night we did a show at Mad River, and I'm, as we do, standing around talking, and I'm over here with this group of comics, and there's a young group of comics over in an earshot, but they're in a separate conversation. And I kept hearing like one wrong thing, two wrong thing, three wrong, and about the fourth. I said, "Who told you that?" And it was like somebody said, and I said, "Nah." Like, and it was like at that point I realized. I said, there's so much misinformation when you're starting as a comedian that you wouldn't know which way to go sometimes. And
Exactly.
Right. So at the very least, I can help with that part. And the workshop, the structure of the workshop took on its own line because it was like, well, how am I supposed to help them? Well, I got to help them write better sets. And so to help them write better sets, I got to see what they're doing on stage. So it really kind of pushed itself as far as how I got to be helping with sets and writing, because that was something else that developed later. And I was able to take that and parlay and write for BET and write for VH1 and do things like that. But it all started with writing comedy sets.
I didn't even know you wrote for BET and VH1 and stuff.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed your class, not only for the two pieces of information that you told me that I still keep with me to this day, but the one thing I did dread every week was I'm not going to say you made us do it, but there was 8 of us in the class, and then we had to do like 2 or 3 minutes in front of everybody. And it wasn't just it was like 2 or 3 minutes in front of a small crowd. It was 2 or 3 minutes in front of your friends. And it's like, nobody's going to laugh at each other. Maybe we did, but I remember just being like, let me go first to just get this done. I remember asking you, just throw me on first so I can just do this.
Yep. And what it created was, and that's funny because Comedy by TuRae stand-up workshop evolved into the Philadelphia Comedy College, and I still do it the same way. You got the first hour is philosophy, the second hour is exercise. So for the first hour, we get all the questions answered, we talk about what we need to talk about, and that second hour we go on stage and we work.
Yeah.
And we practice how we play. Like I tell comedians all the time, like, what you gonna turn it up when it's 500 people in the room? Do the joke the same way all the time, and you don't have to worry about turning it up. It'll turn up on its own.
Absolutely. Now, this is I'm going to ask you, I don't want to use the word bomb, but I kind of do. Have you, when was the last time you bombed headlining or had a set where you were not feeling it? Or the crowd wasn't feeling you?
Bomb to headlining. It's been, what year did the Astros win the World Series?
Either 17 or 18. 2017
whatever
or
that
18.
year was. Whatever that year was, I get booked in Houston to do a one-nighter that night, the night that they're clinching. So, yeah. And I got to do 40 minimum to, secure the contract. So, yeah, I literally have people walking in and out of the theater going, oh, shit, and then running back out.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was horrible. But that was the headliner bomb. Most recently, though, during COVID, and this is when I really had to realize I have a respect thing when they talk about athletes getting rusty and all that. Previous to COVID, I would have never been able to understand what you meant. Because I've been blessed and I started doing comedy to kind of been able to get on stage almost as much as I want to. Of course, starting at the Laugh House, having basically a stage in my backyard.
Yeah.
I've been able to, and then, as I evolved, I always had a show. And then in the last couple of years, I had soul comedy. So I was always able to at least at least once a week, get on stage and work something, you know. But with COVID, I hadn't been on stage since I remember I did a show at Punchline. I was at Punchline Philly on March 15th. And I remember one of the comedians said, you know, this is going to be the last show for a while. And I was like, nah. And sure enough, I didn't get back on stage until it was a one-nighter up in Brooklyn outside. Ray DeJean and Rob Stapleton had it. And good show, good crowd. Pat, I'm on stage telling my punchline first. I'm out of sorts. I'm like, I'm telling the jokes in reverse. I'm forgetting my punchline halfway through. And I just was like, wow, like I never would have thought that I would be rusty or off practice. And it was like, this got to change immediately. So
Oh man, I was there.
yeah, man,
I was there
that was the
too.
most recent. Yeah.
I was totally there too. But you know, I just headlined the Harrisburg Comedy Zone this past weekend, and Friday show, 40 people, and they were great. They were a great 40 people. Saturday, 12 people, and they didn't even try to enjoy the show. Like I came out in a good mood. Like I talked to them. I opened up with my COVID jokes, my topical shit that's doing well, and they're not having it. I'm like, all right. So I've been taking the COVID jokes into other newer stuff, but I go in my back pocket. I pull out two older things to like, you know, get them going. Nothing. And I'm about 8 minutes in and I'm like, motherfucker, this is going to be the next half hour. And it was for 41 minutes. They really did not put out much at all. And dude, I tried, but I'm headlining the club. My name and face is on the wall. And time is dragging.
That's the worst when your best crowd is your first crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes downhill from there, and it's like, oh God. Like we've been on, you know how there's some weekend shows. You do the 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, and you get that great crowd. Let's say second show Friday, and then the rest of the weekend sucks. It's like, what was that? Like,
absolutely. And what sucks even more, and thank God this was only an hour and a half drive home. It was just Harrisburg, but it sucks when you're on the road and the late show sucks, and you fly home the next day with that on your mind.
Yes, dude.
And you're just sitting in your seat like, fuck, I hate that crowd. Or you like go to the airport bar and you know you shouldn't, but then you blame the crowd the night before because now you're day drinking. You're like, it's not me. It's a late show.
It was a late show. And they should have known better. And here's the crazy part. When you got to come back from the West Coast, so you lose the whole day in misery.
Yes.
I hate that shit. I'll be like, yo, I hate leaving the West Coast. It's like by the time I get home, it's going to be 10 o'clock Monday night.
It's and you know what? There's this crazy thing in comedy. So let's say like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the Saturday early show are great. If the Saturday late show is terrible, that's all you can think about. The other 5 shows don't matter. That Saturday late show that you are traveling home with.
Yep. I was doing Uptown in Atlanta recently with Bill Bellamy, and we had a horrible Friday late show. See, it was so bad. I had to apologize because I was hosting. I said, I apologize. I didn't even try. I said, because it was like a heckler. And he said something, and I was just like, yeah, well, you know. And I didn't even try. I didn't even go back. I was like, I'm tired. This crowd is tired. I had to apologize to the comedian that morning when we went to breakfast. I said, yo, bro, I'm sorry. It's like, no, man. I said, nope, I'm capable of much better when I'm hosting. I said, I just didn't try. I said, sometimes if I'm not feeling a crowd, I'll give up. And I shouldn't have done that when I'm like, if I'm featuring a headline, that's different because you can work through your set. When you're hosting, it's all about your energy and holding that crowd together for the next act. So it was like, my bad. And then we had a great time Saturday night, but I'm telling you, I didn't even try. I was like, no. We both gonna come up short tonight. You as an audience and me as a host.
Dude, I think I probably gave up the last 10 minutes of my set on Saturday. I really for a half hour, I really tried. I smiled, I had energy. I was doing my jokes the way I wanted to. I'm selling them, but I'm pretty sure somewhere around minute 30 or 32, I nosedived and I was just saying words to fill time.
Yes, man. I've been there, man. And they should know better also as an audience. You get what you get. Like y'all in here with this bullshit. Guess what you gonna get?
Absolutely. Like they just I'm mad at them because this happened before. I had a show in Wisconsin 2 months ago, and same thing, Saturday show. Again, 12 to 15 people. Like they didn't even try. Why are you here? Like
Right,
I
exactly. I
know
was
this
just
is
about to say,
awkward.
you do know what we're doing here tonight, right? Like, it's a comedy show. It's feel good. It's vibes. It's energy. And you in here, yeah, it's terrible. But we're so vain that you don't think about, the 5 shows you rocked. You think about that one you didn't.
I
And I mean,
know.
I think that's a good thing to keep though, because there are some comedians that go home and lie to themselves. And they were all great. It's like, yeah, 'cause you've been telling the same joke for 20 years. You're
Oh,
not even trying.
do you do the same thing? Okay, so along the lines of so the last show sucked, and that's what you go home with. And that's all you can focus on. Do you do the thing too, where you look for somebody in the crowd who's not into you, and then you can only focus on them?
I don't have to look. I see them, and they see you. You know you don't have to look, P. You know they see you. It's like they got a light on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But do you focus on that? Because you could be
Nah,
killing. You could be killing with 299 people, but you find the one person who's like, I'm not digging this, and I keep looking at them.
I have. I had. Now it happened in Virginia Funny Bone, Virginia Beach Funny Bone. I don't know if you've been there, but the way the stage set up is the people can be like very relatively close enough to put their foot on the stage, which is
Yes.
what this girl did. And I'm performing, and I'm killing. I'm having one of them nights.
Yeah.
Uh,
The best nights.
and right, one of them nights. I mean, everything's working, and and I look down, and she's on her phone, and it's like nothing. And I said, "Damn, sis, nothing." And she said, "I mean, go ahead, do your little show." I didn't even go back and forth. I went back into my show. And I'm killing because the energy was so good. I didn't even have to address her. It was like, okay, went right back to. So I'm killing, and I do something, and it rips, and she started laughing. And when I tell you, I stopped. I said, got you, bitch. And I mean, peeled the paint off the wall. Like, it was like, I could have walked off stage at that point.
Oh
I
my
was like, oh
god,
no, I know you're not laughing now. Got you, bitch. It was crazy.
dude,
It was like the room was moving, like,
dude,
but
dude
yeah, I don't. Go ahead, go
putting
ahead.
putting somebody in their place, and I'm not a big fan of audience interaction, but sometimes the situation calls for it, and you have
Yes,
to.
yes.
So you
You
put
have to
her
defend yourself.
in her place. I'm
Yes.
opening for Sebastian Maniscalco at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. It's like the most beautiful place I've ever done stand up. Like presidents have
Yeah,
spoken
NJ
there.
Pack is crazy. The one
Dude,
in Newark, you mean?
Newark. Yep. Have you done
Yes,
that room
man.
as
It's a
well?
beautiful. I used to live around the corner from there. It's a
All
beautiful
right.
venue.
Dude, incredible. So I'm opening for Sebastian there, and there's 3,000 people in the crowd, and a guy's yelling, Sebastian! So I ignore the first one. He yells it a second time. I ignore it. He yells it a third time, and I go, yes, 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 Sebastian, we get it. Question for you. Guess who asked me to open for him tonight? Sebastian. So the crowd laughs, and he yells Sebastian one more time, and 3,000 people. I'm in the moment. I am red. I have back sweat. I have to address this. And I go, dude, do Sebastian, myself, and everybody in this room a favor and shut the fuck up. Seriously, shut the fuck up. And the place went ape shit. Dude, my
Yes.
arm hair is standing up telling you this story right now. I had
Yeah,
3,000 people screaming, clapping, and stomping their feet because they were on my side. And
right.
3,000 people let him know he is a piece of shit. And it gets better. He yelled Sebastian one more time. I said, get him out. And he was kicked out. He didn't even fucking see
Oh,
Sebastian.
yo, I've never done that. I've never personally done that because I've never had to.
Dude,
Um,
it felt so good. It like I
yes.
I rode that high for like a month. How are your shows? Who cares about the shows? Here's what happened.
Yeah. Who cares? Oh man, I've never done that because there have been times that I kind of avoid it. Like if I know you're not into it, I'm not gonna give you that and let this excel past where it should be. But I know as a host, oh yeah, I'll tell people in a minute. I'm like, it costs $20 or whatever the ticket price is. I'll be like, it costs $30 to get in tonight. It don't cost nothing to get out. You can put that on my tab. And I normally don't have to. There's always from hosting. It's so much easier because I can explain it in a humorous way. It's like, hey, The first time I'm going to say calmly from the stage, hey, could you keep it down? I said, the second time, there's going to be one of these young attendants is going to come and ask you. I said, and then the third time, there's going to be a dude with a tie and another guy next to him mumbling like, and they're going to ask you to leave. So,
and it's as simple as that.
Right. But yeah, it's the best when you can have someone ejected though. Like that had to feel great, especially in a big joint like that, because they got to come get him and then walk him through. Oh,
dude. I did theater shows with Sebastian, and I had laughs. I know what 3,000 people sounded like when they're laughing, but I had 3,000 people have like a body reaction because everybody hated this guy, and I said, "Shut the fuck up," beautifully, and everybody else in the room was thinking the exact same thing. And it was the most beautifully executed moment of my career. I still think about that from time to time.
You should. It's the best when when you say what everyone was thinking, it's like having 3,000 people who got your back. Like, I don't care what you do, dude, I got your back. Like, so it's a great feeling, man. It's crowd control. And that's pretty much where the word master of ceremony come from. When you can control a crowd and make them do what you want them to do, it's the best feeling in the world.
Absolutely. And what it did too, that was probably, I would do like 15 to 20 minutes opening for him. That was probably around like minute, like, I don't know, 6 or 8. Tell you what, I was a different person for the next 12 minutes because I was selling my jokes 10 times better. I was like, I'm like, who? I'm doing the jokes. I'm selling them 10 times better than I normally do. And I'm like, who is this guy? I don't even know who I am right now.
Hey, man, they don't lie. Confidence is sexy. So when you got it and you on stage with it, it's amazing how, like you said, I'm selling my jokes and I don't even do this. I don't even bend my leg like that. But yeah.
I'm acting out jokes I've never even acted out before. Just
man. Yeah, man. Because you got it now. It's like as they say, you got the glow, son.
All right, dude. Thank you for joining me here, man. I could talk comedy with you all fucking night, dude.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure, P. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and be on your podcast and just talk shop, man.
Dude,
it's not often we get to truly just talk shop.
I agree, man. I have a lot to thank you for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping me in my career in the very, very beginning. And thank you for the advice I still think about 16 years later.
No problem, man. Thank you for listening.
All right. Is there anything you want to plug?
The funny thing is everyone's like, well, how you guys doing? Please download our albums. Please stream our albums. Comedy albums are very, very profitable for us. So if you're on Spotify, Pandora, I'm easy to find. Comedy by TuRae. All my albums are up, and that does help. We do get money for that, and it's a great thing to have our material be the reason why we're being paid.
Absolutely, man. Agreed. Buy our shit is what that comes down to.
Yeah. Buy our
all
shit.
Right. Yep. TuRae, thank you, man.
Pat, thank you, man. I appreciate you. Love to you and your family. Stay safe
during this season,
bro. Yes, sir.